Hanwha Defence Australia is turning Geelong into the nerve centre of a new, faster model for land combat production, marrying South Korean manufacturing discipline with Australia's demand for sovereign sustainment. The Armoured Vehicle Centre of Excellence, known locally as HACE, has shifted from a ribbon-cutting milestone to a functioning industrial node where vehicles are arriving in batches, moving through integration bays and test tracks, and cycling into acceptance work at a tempo designed to hold through the late 2020s. The focus is not simply on assembly but on a repeatable cadence that can be scaled, exported, and sustained, with the Republic of Korea parent providing depth in tooling, processes, and quality control that support an on-time delivery culture. At the heart of the portfolio are two pillars, the AS-21 Redback infantry fighting vehicle and the AS9 Huntsman 155mm/52 self-propelled howitzer, supported by an armoured resupply fleet. Australia's order is straightforward, 129 Redbacks, 30 AS9s, and 15 armoured ammunition resupply vehicles, and portions of that order are already on Australian soil for testing and integration. The first AS9S and AS10S have been presented at HACE, and several vehicles are running the local track for system checks while crews refine acceptance routines. This is happening on a compressed schedule that aligns with the Defence Strategic Review's insistence on speed, and the target remains deliveries through 2028 without the drift that has haunted prior modernization cycles. Technical choices aim for capability without exotic risk. Huntsman inherits the K9 family's 155mm/52 gun architecture, giving it the familiar combination of range, rate of fire, and reliability. In practical terms, gunnery with standard rounds reaches roughly 40 km, and specialized ammunition can push effects toward about 60 km, bridging the gap between traditional divisional artillery and deeper fires enabled by guided munitions. The battery's doctrine emphasizes survivability in a sensor-saturated battlefield, short, accurate bursts under emissions control, rapid displacement, and constant movement to stay ahead of counter-battery radars and loitering munitions. The rhythm is as much about logistics and crew drills as it is about metallurgy and barrel life. The Redback complements that fire's picture by carrying an 8-soldier dismount section under armor and fusing lethality with digital situational awareness. Its T2000 turret mounts the 30 by 173mm Mk44S Bushmaster II, providing a growth path in ammunition families and the ability to program fuses for proximity and airburst effects against drones and defilade targets. A twin launcher for Spike LR2 on the turret cheek adds beyond line-of-sight reach against armor and fortified points, a capability that ties neatly into networked reconnaissance and the common operating picture pushed down to combat teams. The concept is not novelty, it is coherence. Every component contributes to a faster sensor-to-shooter chain without sacrificing tempo inside an armored formation. Industrialization is where the Australian flavor shows. Hanwha has seeded a supplier network that moves heavy fabrication and precision work around the country, with hull and turret structures traced to Tasmania and final integration concentrated in Victoria. Electronics, software, and subsystems draw from a mix of local and allied partners, forming a web resilient to single-point failures. Live fire qualification at Port Wakefield is not treated as a ceremonial step, it is the testbed where in-service and future ammunition are methodically paired with the guns and fire control software to guarantee repeatable accuracy, safe pressure margins, and predictable dispersion. The company's stated aim is to keep the lines warm, no stop-start surges that burn down learning curves, so that they can absorb upgrades, handle depot-level repair, and turn around export variants without dismantling the workforce or mothballing tooling. Operationally, the package lines up with combined arms doctrine as practiced by modern Western armies. A mechanized company with Redbacks can clear, hold, and exploit under a protective envelope of armor and active sensors, fighting at close and mid-ranges with programmable 30mm fire and precise anti-armor shots from Spike LR2 while contributing clean track data into the unit network. At battalion and brigade echelons, Huntsman batteries deliver mobile deep fires that open routes, suppress enemy artillery and command nodes, and complicate logistics far behind the forward line. The interplay between shoot-and-scoot artillery and digitally connected IFVs aims to raise lethality per minute while keeping signatures short and survivability high in an electromagnetic battlespace saturated by drones and passive sensors. The strategic bet extends beyond land systems. Earlier this year Hanwha acquired 9.9% of Austal and has requested permission to lift that stake to 19.9%. A move that would tie an Australian shipbuilder with a U.S. footprint to a Korean conglomerate that also owns Philly Shipyard. U.S. authorities have cleared parts of the transaction path, and Canberra continues to assess the implications. If fully realized, the arrangement could stitch together land vehicles, shipbuilding, and C4I into a more vertically integrated Australian presence, with spillover benefits into export assembly and sustainment performed domestically. It is a signal that the company sees Geelong not as a single program plant but as a beachhead for a multi-domain industrial footprint. Schedule discipline remains the through line. The production cadence Hanwha is importing from Seoul is designed to show up in measurable outcomes, vehicles that arrive when promised, acceptance gates that move at speed without eroding safety, and upgrade cycles that do not idle the line. That is essential because the government has advanced timelines under the Defence Strategic Review, and the window to convert budget lines into mass and readiness is narrow. By pairing fast entry into service with local content at scale, the company is offering a way to reconcile sovereign sustainment with the urgency of rearmament, a framing that appeals in a region where contingencies are discussed in years, not decades. For Australia, the industrial logic is as important as the hardware. By distributing work share across states and concentrating final integration at HACE, the program creates a workforce that learns by doing, hardens skills against attrition, and builds constituencies for continuous investment rather than episodic splurges. Keeping the line active for repair, overhaul, and export smooths demand cycles that traditionally whipsaw factories and training pipelines. It also puts Australia in a position to help allies by relieving pressure on US and European bottlenecks, whether through surge production of common sub-assemblies, ammunition handling equipment, or complete vehicles tailored to partner requirements. Interoperability threads through the effort. Ammunition families, data links, and safety certifications are being matched with Five Eyes standards so that Australian units plug cleanly into coalition architectures without bespoke workarounds. That matters in practical ways. Ammunition resupply flows, digital fires missions do not get stuck at format boundaries, and multinational task forces can distribute maintenance tasks across compatible depots. Such choices are not headline-grabbing, but they pay dividends when units deploy, and the only metric that matters is whether a system fires on demand and can be sustained in theater. Critically, none of this assumes a placid acquisition environment. The Indo-Pacific remains defined by time and capacity, and both Canberra and Seoul read the strategic picture the same way: field credible capability quickly, then scale and adapt inside a live industrial base rather than on paper. Analysts see obvious avenues for growth into guided weapons, air defense, and maritime systems if the demand signal remains steady and if HACE continues to mature into a genuine multi-domestic node. The more Geelong proves it can hold cadence, the more likely it becomes that Australia's defence industry shifts from one-off buys to a standing ecosystem with export legs. Seen from that angle, Hanwha's push is less a single program and more a template. It ties together production rhythm, supply chain density, test range rigor, and operational coherence into a model that promises mass without fragility. If the company sustains execution, vehicles on time, crews trained alongside inspectors, upgrades folded into living lines, then the downstream effects will ripple far beyond Victoria. Allies will gain options, regional planners will recalibrate around a faster Australian rearmament, and the country's defence economy will look less like a series of projects and more like an institution. Geelong becomes the metronome, and the beat it sets will be measured in delivered hulls, ready batteries, and a workforce that can keep the machines turning.